The Stripe Shadow Ledger is still logging right now, and the SEC can't stop it. Your last payment, the one from this morning or an hour ago or 10 minutes before you clicked this. Stripe captured it, time-stamped it, and quietly filed a copy in a system with no legal name on any public document. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau flagged it. The SEC opened an inquiry, and it is still running. That is the system we're going to expose today. Stripe is the infrastructure underneath the internet. If you've bought anything online in the last decade, a subscription, a flight, a meal delivery, Stripe almost certainly touched the transaction. They process over $817 billion in payment volume annually. That's not a merchant tool. That's the financial nervous system of modern commerce, running invisible beneath every checkout screen you've ever clicked. Officially, Stripe collects transaction data to prevent fraud, block chargebacks, and satisfy federal anti-money laundering requirements. That's the legal purpose. That's what the regulatory filings say. Here's what they don't say. Stripe maintains what internal engineers have called a persistent identifier graph, not a transaction log, a behavioral graph. Every card you've used, every device fingerprint, every merchant category you've ever bought in, every cart you abandoned before completing the purchase, Stripe logs it. Not to protect you, to build a profile that follows you across platforms, across card numbers, across years. That profile gets assigned a persistent identifier. You can close your Stripe account. The identifier doesn't close, it just marks you as churned. Churned is a data point too. This profile, this shadow ledger, gets licensed, not sold, licensed, to third parties who call it risk intelligence and use it to make decisions, credit decisions, underwriting decisions, merchant approval decisions. You've never agreed to that. You've never seen the license terms, and you've never seen your own profile, and it's still running. In 2023, regulators noticed. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau began asserting supervisory authority over large non-bank financial companies. Stripe was on the list. The SEC, watching Stripe's expansion into business banking features and its long-anticipated IPO trajectory, opened a separate inquiry into data practices. Both agencies asked the same question: what exactly is the risk intelligence layer and who has access to it? Stripe cooperated, provided documentation, answered every question. The inquiry closed, nothing changed. Here's the part nobody reported, the regulator already knew. The documentation Stripe provided was technically accurate. It described the system as fraud prevention and AML compliance, both legal, both required. What it didn't describe was the commercial licensing layer sitting underneath. Because that layer doesn't require disclosure, not under current law. Here is the mechanism. Federal financial privacy law, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, requires disclosure when data is shared with third parties for marketing purposes. But Stripe's licensing arrangements are structured as risk data partnerships, not marketing arrangements. The recipient isn't buying your data to advertise to you. They're purchasing a behavioral profile to inform underwriting, credit scoring, and merchant risk tiers. That's not marketing. That's risk management. And risk management partnerships don't trigger the same disclosure requirements. The loophole isn't accidental. It is architectural. The system was designed around the boundary of the law. Every audit trail the SEC can pull leads to a compliant answer. Every telemetry handshake is documented as fraud prevention. Every data transfer is framed as a risk intelligence service. The shadow ledger is legal because the law hasn't caught up to what Stripe built. The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act was written in 1999. Stripe was founded in 2010. The gap between those two dates is where the shadow ledger lives, and it's still running. Right now, your financial behavior is being read by companies you have never agreed to work with. They are making decisions about your creditworthiness, your risk tier, your eligibility for services based on a profile you've never seen, built from data you never consciously provided, stored in a system with no consumer-facing name. There is no opt-out, not a real one. Stripe's privacy settings let you limit certain marketing uses of your data. They do not let you exit the persistent identifier graph. There is no form, no request, no mechanism under current law that removes your behavioral signature from the risk intelligence layer. The CCPA gives California residents a right to deletion. Stripe honors it for account data, not the graph. The graph is an anonymized behavioral record, they'll say, anonymized to them, identified to every company that licenses the profile. The SEC looked at this and found nothing actionable, which is the most alarming possible finding. Not because the system is legal, because it means the law that was supposed to protect you already lost. Stripe is preparing for an IPO. When that filing drops, the risk intelligence layer becomes a disclosed revenue line. Investors will see the numbers. Regulators will finally have grounds to investigate. So here's the question nobody will answer on the record. Why hasn't Stripe been required to disclose it now? Who benefits from the current silence? And when the IPO forces the shadow ledger into the light, what exactly are they going to say they've been building with your data all this time?